Transfer $40,000 right now. If not, the FBI will knock on your door before they knock on your mother's." That sentence rang out in the middle of a lavish wedding party along the Florida Keys. I could still hear the music, the clinking of champagne glasses, the crystal lights reflecting off the black water through the phone. But only a few hours later, I understood that all that sparkle was just a cover for a shady transaction. A wedding, a foreign groom, money that needed to be moved quickly, and my name placed as the guarantor without me knowing a thing. And that is the story of Charlotte Hayes. People often say, family is the safest place, but if that very place puts you in the middle of a federal investigation, would you choose to save them or save yourself? And I'm Lisa. Before I tell Charlotte's story, I want to ask you, where are you listening from? In a familiar kitchen in Ohio? Or in a living room where you once had to hold everything together to keep the peace? Leave a comment and let me know. If this story resonates with you, please like and subscribe, and stay until the end, because some truths only surface when we think everything is already over. I got the call from my mother at 10:47 p.m. Chicago was cold, and the windows of my apartment were fogged over. On the other end, I could hear Latin music and someone shouting Emily's name. My mother didn't wish me a good evening. She went straight to the point. "There's a transfer issue. Send $40,000 to help me for now. Just a few hours." I stood up from the couch. On the coffee table was the cream-colored wedding invitation I hadn't reopened since it arrived. Emily Hayes, my younger sister, was marrying Rafael Cruz, a man who had appeared in her life just 3 months earlier, with stories about investments in Buenos Aires and yacht photos from Miami. Everything moved too fast. The money came too easily. I had said that at Thanksgiving dinner, and the room had gone uncomfortably quiet. "Mom, why do you need me to send it?" I asked. She lowered her voice, as if afraid someone might overhear. "You just need to let the money pass through. No one loses anything." That sent a chill down my spine, colder than the wind outside. I didn't ask what the money was. I walked to my desk and opened my laptop. My heart was pounding, but my head felt strangely clear. If it were just flowers, liquor, or the band, they would have used their own cards. My phone buzzed. A new email from an unfamiliar address. I opened it. An attachment appeared on the screen. Financial agreement, event sponsorship. The third line read clearly, "Primary financial guarantor, Charlotte Hayes." I had never signed any agreement, but at the bottom of the page was my signature. I zoomed in on it. The slight curve in the H looked enough like mine to make my heart skip. But I knew I had never put pen to paper for anything related to this wedding. The legal section below listed a limited liability company registered in Delaware, the main sponsor of the event. I scrolled to the appendix. In tiny print at the corner, the sponsorship funds would circulate through the guarantor's account within 24 hours. I opened another tab and searched the company's registration number. Established 8 weeks ago. Legal representative, Rafael Cruz. The listed office address matched a virtual legal services building in Wilmington. I had seen this model before when I worked in internal audit, a clean shell for money that needed to take a detour. I still had the phone to my ear. "Mom, what is this?" I asked, my voice lower than usual. "It's just sponsorship paperwork," she replied quickly. "It's easier if you're the name on it. The money just goes through and comes back." "What money?" She went silent for a few seconds, then repeated, "You just need to send it for me." I set the phone down and logged into my bank account. The cursor spun, then stopped. Under upcoming transactions, a large amount was marked pending authorization. The receiving account wasn't the hotel or any wedding vendor. It was an intermediary account at a small bank in Miami. The name of that bank reminded me of an internal bulletin from 2 years ago, a suspicious transaction investigation tied to luxury events. I didn't remember the details, but I remembered the feeling. Everything looked legitimate until it suddenly didn't. My phone kept vibrating. A message from Emily. "Sis, everyone's asking. Please help me." I looked again at the words, "financial guarantor," on the screen. No one had asked before putting my name there, but if the money passed through my account, every question afterward would come to me first. I called my mother back. Her voice was tighter now. "Charlotte, what are you doing?" I looked at the $40,000 waiting for one click, and I hadn't clicked. I called Emily directly. Behind her were golden lights and music still echoing. Her mascara had run under her eyes. "I swear, I don't know anything about the money," she said, her voice breaking. "He said it was just event sponsorship. Mom said you'd help." "Did you sign anything?" I asked. She shook her head, then turned the camera away. "Rafael wants to talk to you." The screen shifted to his face. His suit was still crisp, tie perfectly knotted. His smile wasn't uneasy. "Charlotte," he said in a warm tone, "this is an investment opportunity. Your family benefits. We just need the funds to pass through at the right time." "Why through my account?" "Because you have a clean credit profile. That's a good thing." He shrugged, as if explaining how to order flowers. I didn't answer right away. I reopened the search tab and entered the company's tax ID number he had just given me. The results came up fast and cold. Established 8 weeks ago, no public financial filings, address matching a virtual office service. I sent a quick internal email to my compliance system at work with a single line. "Can you check this LLC name for me?" My phone screen stayed lit. Rafael watched me, no longer smiling. "Charlotte, we don't have much time." A new notification popped up in my work inbox. Red subject line, "Preliminary risk flag." I opened it. The system automatically flagged transactions linked to that company as suspicious. My chest tightened. If the money went through my account, every trace would begin with me. Not Rafael, not the hotel. Me. My phone buzzed again. Unknown number. I ignored it. Then a message appeared from an unsaved number. "Don't wire it. They're watching." If it were you, would you trust an anonymous message like that? Just one word, trust or don't trust. I looked at the $40,000, still waiting for confirmation. On the other side of the screen, Rafael said something to Emily in Spanish. I didn't understand it all, but I understood one thing. This was no longer a wedding. I didn't reply to the anonymous message. I opened my contacts and found Mark, a former colleague who had worked in anti-money laundering at a major bank in New York. It had been over a year since we spoke, but he picked up immediately. "I need you to check a name," I said, keeping my voice steady. "Rafael Cruz, and an LLC in Delaware." On the other end, I heard rapid typing. His breathing shifted. "Charlotte, where did you get that name?" "From a contract with my name on it." He went quiet for a few seconds, then spoke more slowly. "That name showed up in an internal report tied to suspicious transactions linked to luxury events. Sponsorship money, weddings, galas, funds routed through intermediary accounts." My computer screen was still open. I typed Rafael's name into an old news archive I had saved. A PDF file appeared, a scanned report from 2 years ago. I scrolled to the appendix, a small, blurry photo from a fundraiser in Miami. A man standing by a bar, raising a glass, half turned. It was Rafael. I paused. On the screen, he looked different, less polished, eyes sharper and colder. Some parties aren't meant for celebration. Some wedding bouquets hold more than flowers, and some signatures are placed to bury someone. I closed the transfer window on my banking screen. The $40,000 was still there, but I didn't touch it. The phone rang again. Mom. I turned on call recording before answering. Charlotte, why are you dragging this out? Her voice rushed. Rafael says if the money doesn't move tonight, everything will fall apart. How will it fall apart? I asked. She didn't answer directly. Don't make this bigger than it is. I looked at my signature on the contract again. It looked real enough to make someone believe it, but I knew that if I clicked to confirm, nothing afterward would be just an explanation. I was standing at a line, and one step further, I wouldn't be able to go back. My phone kept vibrating until I had to flip it face down. A message from my mother came first. The FBI is at the hotel. Then another. Rafael is nowhere to be found. I called Emily. She didn't answer. I opened social media and found the live stream relatives had been sharing earlier. The latest clip was only minutes old. The stage lights still on, the band still standing there, but the dance floor empty. In one corner of the frame, Emily stood alone in the grand hall, her white wedding dress trailing across the polished stone floor. No more music, just whispers and a few sideways glances. Mom called back. Charlotte, everything's a mess. They're asking about the sponsorship. If the funds aren't confirmed, they'll hold the file. Hold whose file? She didn't answer directly. Just send it. As long as the money passes through your account, everything will be fine. I looked back at the agreement email. Clause 4. The sponsorship would only be considered valid when the guarantor confirms the flow of funds. I wasn't a guest. I was the confirmation button. The room suddenly felt uncomfortably quiet. On the bookshelf next to my desk was a family photo from Lake Michigan 10 years ago. Emily and I were still standing close together, our hair blown messy by the wind, laughing until our eyes squinted. When did we start believing that a quick temporary shuffle was normal? When did my name become the default solution? I pulled the frame closer and flipped it face down. Instead of clicking to confirm the transfer, I opened my private attorney's contact. He picked up on the second ring. I kept it brief, no extra details. A contract with my name on it, $40,000, a risk warning. There was silence for a few seconds on the other end. Then he said, steady but firm, if you transfer the money in these circumstances, you could be seen as consenting to participate in the transaction. And if that transaction is investigated, you could be prosecuted. I looked at my bank screen again. The number was still there, but now it wasn't just $40,000. I ended the call with my attorney without saying another word. My hand was still on the mouse, but instead of confirming the transfer, I opened a different page. The FBI tip line came up, plain, compact text with no drama. I entered every detail. Rafael Cruz, the Delaware LLC, the contract with my signature. I attached the full email thread, including the scanned copy of the forged signature. When the incident description box appeared, I paused for a second. Then I typed, I believe my family is being used, and I have evidence. I hit submit. The screen made no sound, no background music, no flashbulbs, just a small notice. Submission received. But inside me, something shifted. Not because I wanted anyone to get in trouble, because I refused to become the name at the top of an investigation file. Some people choose silence to keep the peace. Some choose the truth to keep themselves. I went on to the credit freeze page. 3 credit bureaus. I clicked through each one, turned on fraud alerts, and filed complaints about my signature being used without authorization. Every step was clear, no hesitation. My phone lit up. Mom called again. I didn't answer. I texted back. I've spoken with my attorney. No response right away. Then a short message came through. You're ruining everything. I looked around my quiet apartment. Everything here, I paid for myself, signed for myself, and took responsibility for myself. No one put their name on things for me, and I didn't put my name on things for anyone else. My phone buzzed again. Unknown number, Florida area code. I stared at the screen for a few seconds before swiping to answer. I swiped to take the unknown call. Not an agent. It was Emily. The noise behind her was different now. No music, no laughter. Just the faint sound of a hotel hallway and the steady hum of air conditioning. Charlotte. Her voice was hoarse. He's gone. I sat up straight. Gone? What do you mean? No one can find Rafael. They said he stepped outside to take a call and didn't come back. A short pause. They're asking about the sponsorship. I didn't ask who. I knew. Emily, what do you know about the money? She stayed silent longer than before. I could hear her trying to hold her breathing in. I knew there was money that needed to cycle through, she whispered. He said it was just moving it through an account for one night to complete the investment paperwork. I didn't think it was anything serious. Did you sign anything? I asked slowly. Some documents. But he said it was just confirming the location and the costs. I closed my eyes for 1 second, not to get angry, but to keep my voice from breaking. Listen to me. Leave the hotel right now. Don't talk to anyone else without a lawyer. Do you understand? What did you do? Emily asked. I sent the information to my lawyer and to the proper authorities. On the other end, she didn't say anything. Then she whispered, Charlotte, I thought he loved me. Has anyone ever believed in someone so much that they ignored the obvious signs? If you've been there, leave a period in the comments. That hit me harder than any legal clause. I looked out the window of my apartment. Chicago's city light stayed steady, cold, clear, and unblinking. Emily, I said, keeping my voice calm, love never needs someone else's signature to exist. On her end, I heard a door open and close, quick footsteps. I'm heading down to the lobby, she said. I set the phone on the table but didn't hang up. A message from my lawyer popped up. Federal authorities have logged the report. They will follow up. Everything was moving. Not loudly or dramatically, just small steps, but steps you can't take back. I didn't want to destroy my family. I just wanted to stop a mistake before it swallowed all of us. A little over an hour later, Emily called again. This time, there was no steady air conditioning hum. I could clearly hear rapid footsteps, low male voices, and the sound of a glass door opening and closing. They're here, Emily whispered. They're asking about Rafael. Focus on telling the truth, I said. Don't guess. Don't explain for anyone. On her end, someone identified themselves and asked to confirm information. I wasn't in the Florida Keys. I was sitting in my dark apartment, with only a desk lamp casting light on the wood surface. But through the phone, I heard every question and every pause. Another male voice cut in, tense and rushed. I guessed it was Rafael. He said something about a procedural misunderstanding. Then I heard a chair scrape hard against the stone floor. Footsteps moving away. Emily whispered, They're talking to him privately. I looked up at my computer screen. My inbox had just received another message from my lawyer. They've accepted the report. Stay reachable. On the other end, the noise suddenly broke open. Someone told people to keep their distance. I heard the soft rustle of a wedding dress. Emily inhaled sharply. My bouquet fell, she said, her voice catching. I pictured the white bouquet hitting the cold stone floor. A party with no music. A night with no fireworks. My phone buzzed. Mom calling. I answered. Are you happy now? No hello, no check-in. They're holding Rafael. People are looking at us like criminals. I only told the truth, I said. You betrayed your family. I gripped the phone. I only stopped covering for you. Silence. Then she hung up. A few minutes later, Emily texted. They said Rafael claimed the contract had consent, that you knew and agreed. I stared at the words for a long time. If he said that in front of the agents, everything would swing in a different direction. And I knew this night still wasn't over. I didn't call Emily back right away. I opened the email I'd sent earlier and forwarded every document to my lawyer again, along with the newest message. Rafael claims there was consent. Minutes later, he called. We need to send more proof right now, he said. Logan history, location data, anything that proves you weren't in Florida. I opened my work calendar in the company system. Tonight, I had a video call with my Chicago team, clearly logging the time and the IP address. I downloaded the record. I checked my building's security camera history. The app on my phone still stored entry logs. At 9:58 p.m., I walked through the lobby. At 10:12 p.m., I picked up a package from the front desk. Everything was time-stamped. I sent each file one by one. No drama, no noise, just data. A little over an hour later, my lawyer texted, "They've received it. They'll verify." I leaned back in my chair and stared at the flat white ceiling. No one here looked at me like a criminal. No one whispered behind my back. But in Florida, one sentence from Rafael could flip everything. My phone buzzed. A Florida number. I answered. A man introduced himself, brief and clear. He confirmed they had received the additional materials. They had checked the cameras and the digital history. Ms. Hayes, he said, you did the right thing. I didn't know whether to exhale or keep holding my breath. A few hours later, Emily texted. Rafael was being held for investigation into financial fraud. No one in my family was being charged at this time because they were cooperating and providing information. Mom didn't call again. The next morning, I opened my inbox, a short email from Mom. We're different now. I set my phone down. On the table, the cream-colored wedding invitation was still there. I picked it up, folded it along the old crease, and tore it in half. I didn't fly to Florida. I stayed in Chicago, where the October sky was gray and blunt, exactly how I wanted things to be now. Emily moved back to Illinois 3 weeks later. She didn't bring the wedding dress, just a small suitcase, and eyes that no longer sparkled the way they used to. I picked her up at the airport. We didn't talk much. We drove back to my apartment in just enough silence. Mom called a few days later. Her voice wasn't harsh anymore. No accusations, just a hesitant apology. I didn't answer right away with a hug through the phone or a, "It's all okay." I let the silence exist between us. For the first time, I didn't rush to fill it with money, with solutions, with sacrifice. Before, I used to think protecting my family meant paying their bills, signing things for them, standing in front of every risk so they could be safe. But that safety was temporary, and the price was usually my name. Holding boundaries didn't make me love my family less. It just forced me to love myself a little more. I lost the innocence of believing family always knows what's best. But I kept my respect for myself, something I had almost traded away with a single click. One weekend afternoon, I cleaned up my desk. In the drawer was the dried wedding bouquet Emily brought back, pressed between a few sheets of paper. I picked it up. The petals had turned a dull ivory. I looked at it for a moment, then tossed it into the trash. Not angry, not regretful, just accepting. I didn't win completely. My family wasn't the same. But I didn't lose myself. The story you just heard is a fictional work inspired by real-life situations and human experiences. The content was supported by AI and edited by a human to offer reflection and emotional value. It does not encourage anyone to copy the actions in this video. Sometimes the hardest thing isn't telling the truth. It's holding on to it when the person in front of you is family. If there's one thing worth keeping from this story, it may be this. Boundaries aren't betrayal, they're maturity. If you stayed until this minute, thank you so much. Where are you listening from? Texas? California? Or a small town where everyone knows each other a little too well? Leave a comment and let me know. The feeling of being stuck between family and the truth can look different for everyone, but it's never easy. If this story gave you a new thought, please like and subscribe. Turn on notifications so you don't miss the next stories. Every interaction helps us keep telling stories that matter. Thank you for listening and for staying until the end.